Inside Foos presents FoosTalk Live.
You know, Jim, I think it's worth for me to begin the show tonight to say that I will not be making reference to butt smoking tonight. I will not do that.
Thank God.
I think
Yeah, but by doing so, you do so. It's like a Buddhist riddle here. But anyway, sorry. Don't want to butt in here.
But Adam, I mean,
Oh, hey, it's the butt smoker, everybody. That's the butt smoker. Thank you, Adam Gilson.
It's FoosTalk Live.
You talking to me?
Compelling and lively banter.
Are you going to talk to us?
Talking foosball.
Foosball was how I measured my value as a man. You took that away.
Players and fans, promoters and pros. Unedited and raw.
Talk.
Living in the moment.
We have a lot of important things to talk about.
All while practicing social distancing.
Cool. We'll talk. No big whoop.
Let's get this thing started. FoosTalk Live.
coming to you live from the studios of Inside Foos. It's the 115th episode of FoosTalk Live, brought to you by InsideFoos.com, offering monthly subscriptions with access to some of the most exciting matches ever recorded. Plus, live tournaments, pre- and post-show analysis, interviews, and original programming. Sign up now at InsideFoos.com. Also brought to you by ProtectoFlex, the world's premier foosball safety accessory. Go to Protecto-Flex.com. Brought to you by Rodlock. Practice more, reach less. The best practice tool in foosball. Visit rod-lock.com. Brought to you by 518 Prints, one of the best printers of promotional items and foosball apparel. Visit 518prints.com. Brought to you by Foosballers, the movie. This Joe Hessling, a foosball documentary, is now available as a worldwide download at foosballersthemovie.com. Also brought to you by the USTSO, helping to usher in a new era of competitive foosball. Become a member at usafoosball.com. And brought to you by Foosball Clubs USA, promoting foosball through school systems all over the United States. Visit foosballclubsusa.com and make a donation today. Well, hey there, it's Tom Robinson. Thanks so much for joining us for another live edition of FoosTalk Live. This is episode number 115. Yes, we are definitely looking forward to a great show this evening. I do have to make a show note at this point. Looks like Jim Stevens is due to some weather conditions in his area in Durango, Colorado. His area was taken out of power by a lightning strike. So it looks like Jim will not be joining us, at least for the first part of the show. He may jump in at any time. You just never know. But, I think we can handle that. In fact, my steady cohort, someone who always can stand by and no matter where he is, can jump in and make things better. And that would be Adam Gilson. Hello, Adam.
Hello. Jim. Tom, I'm thinking of Jim here. We wish him all the best of luck out there in his 50-degree weather.
50 degrees, yeah.
I never jump, but I slowly walk into a room. And I appreciate that intro, Tom.
Oh, you're welcome. By the way, I also have to say that really enjoyed your stories about being a dad last week on the special, the Father's Day special.
Thank you for doing that. That was fun. And it was really fun listening to Clay and Tom and Mark as well.
Yeah.
Hearing that in everybody's lives, because we talk about foosball. Obviously, we got a good show here today. We're going to be talking about getting Kevin Romero.
Right.
He's our guest. Keith Glen, of course, we'll be talking to him. Our boots on the ground. He's been there for Inside Foos, actually, doing play-by-play, calling the matches.
Nationals.
But we also have to talk a little bit about that thing that's coming up in a couple days.
That thing that's coming up in a couple of days,
yeah.
which would, let's see, someplace in France, I guess, right?
Someplace in France.
Nantes?
But Nantes, yeah.
Nantes?
And I understood that word, and I still remember this from my first tournament. Speaking of nationals, that's where Keith is at right now this weekend, actually.
Right.
And Kevin, too. Nantes means carrot.
It means carrot.
That's what Jim told me at nationals last year, my first tournament. And I believe everything Jim tells me.
Now, would that be the carrot that you eat or the carrot that we would measure a diamond, let's say? A carrot with a K or carrot with a C?
C.
You had to think about that.
Well, I don't know. I actually don't know. So I'm just rolling with it. I'm assuming the diamonds weren't invented when that town was named.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the reason this is FoosTalk Live, the world's number one podcast for foosball, the biggest reason is because of the technical prowess and know-how of our good friend from Dallas, Texas, which would be Clay Toomey. Hello, Clay.
I'm looking at Google Translate, and I'm not seeing that to be true. And I've heard that said before that Nantes is translated as carrot.
Nantes, Nantes.
Well, Is it S or Z? Either way, it's not pronounced, but it's not. I'm typing in English to French and French to English and every other way.
Okay.
And I see nowhere on all of the worldwide internet webtacular space that anything verifies that means carrot in French. And I've messaged my numerous friends in that area of the world, and I've got nothing back. But when I do, you'll be the first to hear about it. I'm calling into question whether or not that's true.
I see.
No,
Adam,
I still believe it.
You can believe it all you want, but that's fine. I mean, this is
Well,
the American way to believe something, whether or not it's true. But
that's a whole other episode, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Incidentally, guys, this is kind of reminds me of reminiscent of what's referred to now as the Foosball Free for All, which features the three of us and Midori Kimura, which we're about to air the second episode of that coming up Tuesday, actually Monday at midnight Eastern Daylight Time. But just a little promo for that. Just reminded me of the conversation we're having right now, which by the way,
it's about what you get there for sure.
Yeah, it goes in a lot of different directions all at once. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully the folks at home could tune in and listen to it. It is, and I've said this before, it is not unlike being at a foosball tournament. Yeah, you hang out with your friends and yeah, you talk about foosball, but a lot of the times you're just sitting there having fun, right?
Mm-hmm. That's it.
I love it.
Yeah. No, and that's as it should be. And we don't necessarily always talk about foosball. In fact, I would say it's maybe 15% of what we discuss.
Mm-hmm.
So, organ donor. So yeah. Let's do this. Let's reminisce, and then we're going to come back and talk to Keith Glen. But let's take a listen back to way back when in 2006.
With great moments in foosball history, this is a FoosTalk Live flashback.
World Cup championship point for Austria. Germany needs all three.
This would be a comeback if they could do this.
Shot attempt bounces down the table. It's grabbed by Dalibor Subiac with a chance to win the World Cup for Austria. Shot attempt blocked by Ludwig. Comes back to Subiac for the win. Dalibor Subiac fires it home to the near side. Team Austria is the 2006 World Cup champions. What a performance. What a great event here in Hamburg. It has been quite a week, especially for that team right there.
Listen in next time for another great moment in foosball history. It's FoosTalk Live flashback.
That, from what I understand, is the very first time that the World Cup was held in Europe. I'm not exactly sure. Now, the Austrian team, of course, I know Jim was very good at pronouncing those names. Don't know necessarily if those players are still out there, still playing for Austria. Maybe they might show up this year. I don't know. Adam, can you give us any retrospective background on the World Cup like that?
No, at that time, that was when I was just getting out of foosball. So, and I could just hear Jim if he was here, just reminiscing and being, yeah, Tom, that was, and explaining everything bit by bit, as he is so good at doing. But I have heard him tell stories of that time period, and that was such a wild time going on because that was the first time it ever happened. And it was the first time Jim and his crew, Iceman Moore, the rest of them, Tom Robinson were out there. Not Tom Robinson.
I really wasn't there.
You weren't there, but it was. I'll remember his name. He's such a nice. He's in Hawaii now, retired.
Oh, you're talking about Brad Anderson.
Brad Anderson.
Yeah.
Tom Robinson. Brad Anderson. Anyways, they just have such amazing stories, and I really hope it would be fun at some point to do a retrospective of that time period and have those guys on here and talking about it, because the stories I heard just briefly one breakfast morning in Vegas a couple months ago was phenomenal.
Right about those moments in World Cup. Well, let's hope that this year, of course, we have Team USA there. I mean, it's a lighter roster, I guess is the best way to put it. There are less of our top players attending the World Cup. Although I think we're going to have some good results. I think the women's team especially are going to be full strength for sure.
Yeah. Those are the stories that are coming out of it right now. I mean, they're the men's team, even though they're so top heavy with Terry Rue, Tony Sprademan, and who's the third one? And the men's team. I had the thing up here, and of course, I'm missing it. But anyways, that it's a top heavy field. But even then, you could still say there's so many players that just aren't there, that would normally be there for whatever reasons.
Right.
That's just how life is, right? So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
the underdog story, and the one that I'm tracking is watching the juniors team. The American junior team has never done very well,
Mm-hmm.
and right now the junior team is stacked.
Right.
You know, you've got Sam DeJean, you've got Ethan Wynn out
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Logan Hearn. I mean, it's a stacked team, as stacked of a team, a junior team as America has ever sent out there.
Right.
So those are going to be some good stories. So you've got the underdog story. You've got a good junior team going out there, and you also are looking at the women's team. And the women's team is as good as you could send out there. So it's going to be fun to watch, Tom.
Absolutely. No, looking forward to that. I know because of the fact that, Sam DeJean is only 14 and is considered a pro here in America. And how that stacks up to the competition with other countries, we'll wait and see. I think that will be very interesting. And I think the rest of the team, of course, is just as strong. Logan, like you say, really great player. And I think this is
Right.
probably the last time Logan can play on the junior team,
It
correct?
is. He's actually, I think he's aged out, but he's grandfathered in, ironically. as
Okay.
English is such a funny language.
Well, he's playing in 19U, and he's 19 until the last day of the tournament.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
So that technically,
I think he gets his birthday is July 3rd, and I only know that because we had a chat about it when he was in Dallas here a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
At a local, but yeah.
So
Just to correct myself, that the men's team, it's Brademan, Lafredo, and Rue, and that's a
Mhm.
great top heavy
Mhm.
team there. Of course, you got Sergio Aragones and James Castillo, NorCal players, longtime players, good players. So I mean, there's a lot of heart on that team. There's a lot of fire.
Yeah.
Michael Stahl. So that's something we can definitely talk about later when Jim arrives, because that it's going to be interesting. It's going to be
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of really great stories coming out as usual from the World Cup, as it is always the case. So, speaking of stories, we need to talk about what's been happening this weekend in Lexington, Kentucky, the 2022 National Championship and National Cup competition. And who better to talk about that than Keith Glen, who's right there on the scene. Keith, are you with us?
I am, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, it's great to get your boots on the ground perspective as to what's going on. What's first of all, how long of a weekend has it been, and when did you get there?
I got in Wednesday afternoon. Competition was already underway with some of the more specific age and classic events.
Mm-hmm.
And attendance wasn't great to start the weekend, but it filled out as the weekend went on.
Nice.
I know there were some questions as to some of the events being paused and things, but that happened Wednesday. So we've been going for 5 days now.
5 days. How you feeling, by the way?
Sorry?
How you feeling now that 5 days have gone by?
I'm exhausted. Like, I've done it before where I've played and then hopped in the booth where needed. This is my first time ever being up there, and my back's killing me from being sitting in that chair all weekend. But it was a lot of good foosball. It was a lot of fun to watch, and I was absolutely happy to be here.
And did you play any events?
I didn't. I figured since I was coming here to work, I would focus on that.
Right.
The rest of the team occupied elsewhere. So I was the only one here kind of officially to cover it. So I wanted to make sure that we had somebody to get in the booth the whole time. So I didn't participate.
Right.
Blake Robertson talked about getting a Florida team for the North American Cup. And I figured if he was successful in that and needed me, I would step up, but he wasn't able to get a team together. So
Wow, I'm surprised. Wow. Not enough players. Now, how many players does it take to play for the state? What's that all about?
it's a minimum of 7, and then you're allowed to have a couple of alternates, I think. So I think 9 maybe the max.
Wow.
But it's a minimum of 7. So.
And explain to us how does that work? What's the format for the World Cup? Or, I'm sorry, for National Cup.
The North American Cup, the format actually, it was a little new to me, and I didn't really understand it at first, but it provided some really exciting matches to watch. So basically, the teams are 2 doubles, 2 experts, a pro and a master. So the pro and the master square off in open doubles.
Okay.
There's 4. So basically 4 matches in the first round. The amateurs square off in doubles, the experts square off in doubles, the master and the pro square off in doubles, and then the women square off in singles. The next round is amateur singles, expert singles, and pro singles, and then the master and the woman play open mixed.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And it's first to 5, and if there's a tie, there's a shootout. We didn't get any shootouts, but at the end there, Ohio had 2 teams. Steve Biney came just to play in the one event.
Okay.
And his team ended up coming out on top. And it was exciting because they went 3-1 in the first round. All they needed was 2 of the final 3 matches to avoid a shootout. But Wisconsin took the first 2 to finish, and they were winning amateur singles. But John Bennett out of Ohio battled back to take that. So all of a sudden, open mixed was win or go home for Wisconsin, and Steve Viney and Dusty Bumbanek able to put that one away. So they became your 2022 North American Cup champions.
Wow. Congratulations to Steve and Dusty. That's awesome. Great stuff. And so you got to commentate all those matches.
Yeah. Well, so obviously we couldn't commentate all of them, just the ones on table 1, but we did kind of. So there was going on in the entire room. They used the entire room for it. There might have been a DYP going on the side, but basically everything going on. So we only had access really to the teams playing in the pit.
Okay.
On those 4 tables. I did get some help from the Foosers that were hanging out in the room, going around and getting us updates as the other state matches were wrapping up. So we kept an eye on it, and we tried to do a good job of keeping everybody abreast of what was going on. But it was Team Mississippi was in the pit until they got eliminated by the Ohio team, and then we had the Ohio-Wisconsin final there. So we got to get a pretty good look at it, and it was definitely a cool event. I had told Blake I'd participate and not really thinking much of it, but now I'm kind of bummed that I didn't get to it. It looks like it's a very fun event to compete in.
Well, there's always next year, right?
Yeah, exactly. We just got to get these Florida guys out.
So Ohio took it. How many states were competing all together?
There were 10 teams, I believe, and 2 states, Kentucky and Ohio, the local ones, had 2 teams. So that was, what is that math-wise? That means 8 different states represented, and there were a couple of instances. Wow, sorry, it's been a long weekend.
You're forgiven.
Where players had to borrow players from other states. Eric Balthus's daughter Maya out of Minnesota, they played with Wisconsin, things like that. So, but for the most part, it was explicitly the states. So, definitely cool event. And congratulations again to Ohio and Steve Viney, Dusty Bumbanek putting away that open mixed final to seal it.
That's amazing. Yeah, we've been wanting to get Steve back on the air for quite some time. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks here, we'll get Steve back on to talk about his experiences, maybe along with Dusty. Who knows?
Yeah, so Dusty, great goalie.
Oh yeah, yeah, she's one of my favorites. Keith, I'm looking at the brackets, the IFP tour, and I don't see. So the beginner events were to happen today, and rookie singles was yesterday, but they're not drawn up. Was that delayed?
No, they were drawn up. They ran the Swiss format for those here this weekend.
I see.
Thunderdome permeating the market there, and we had heard IFP say that the next USTSO championship in Kentucky next year would be Swiss, but they decided to try and tackle it a little earlier. So they got their first look at it for IFP here this weekend with the rookie and beginner events. So because of that, the brackets would have shown up a little different on the IFP software.
Oh, so it's not showing up on. That's why it's not live.
Yeah, I think the elimination rounds were there. They should be there. Last I looked at it, but
rookie doubles.
obviously the rounds and stuff.
Yeah, I see it. Okay. So, any big surprises, upsets, stories, anything off the top of your head you saw this weekend?
Well, so for the first time, since I started covering, it was almost the first time where the surprise was that there weren't really any surprises. Open singles, the top 6 players were the top 6 seeds, kind of went as it should. The one seed ended up taking it. Brandon Munoz put on quite a show, ended up double dipping Blake Robertson.
Ooh.
After the King Seat match was instant classic, clearly the match of the weekend. Brandon had match ball in the 4th game at 4-2. Blake Robertson was exhausted. He only got about 3 hours of sleep. He got off the plane. I think he played his first match before he even checked into his room.
Really?
And he came back, fired back, and they ended up going 8-7 in the 5th. So it was really, really good match.
Jeez.
But then Brandon and he played these matches 3 in a row, Brandon did. The King Seat match, the losers bracket final, and then the final, like back to back to back. And he came out and double dipped Blake Robertson and really put on quite a show.
Double dipped, man. Brandon is a fierce player. Fierce. Just he and his fellow Costa Ricans are just tearing it up. That's amazing.
Yeah, and actually, Brandon, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say to the Twitch folks out there that are here, if you have any questions for Keith, and eventually when we have Kevin on, please put them in the chat because we will be asking them that. But go ahead, Keith, finish your thought.
Well, no, I was just going to say, Brandon, nice enough to get in the booth with me, so I got to pick his brain a little bit about his perspective. He calls timeouts kind of in a funky fashion, so I got to talk to him about that. You might at least less traditional than what most of the masters would tell you. So really cool. Nice of him to get in with us. Apparently, there's rumors that he's going to help us out. We have a long schedule once the World Cup starts of coverage. Apparently, he and even Blake Robertson said the same thing, that they're going to be jumping in and helping out with the commentary there. So that's
Good.
something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Expert commentary.
Yes, master commentary.
So I've been tracking these two players now since well for some time, since last Colorado State, but seeing them play together, they just seem like such a powerhouse. Winning women's open doubles at a major at Texas State. That's Noelia Arcos and Lexi Brake. Noelia doubled that weekend, winning women's singles as well, and they went tripled, doubled. Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember who won mixed.
Yeah, but this weekend though, I saw Noelia winning open women's singles and winning women's doubles again with Lexi. Did you get a chance to see them all this weekend?
Oh yeah, I've been hanging out with both all weekend. The funny thing is, Thursday morning. So basically, Lexi calls me right after we got the stream up Thursday evening and says, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I told her I was out here. They made the decision Thursday morning to drive up. They weren't going to be here. They had no plans to attend. They wanted to play some foosball this weekend. Realized it's a 11-hour drive, but that's doable. So they made the decision. So they missed open mixed because that took place Thursday night. But then they did show up, and then Noelia rather came back, double dipped Jessica Stanflaben in the women's singles final, and then Lexi and Noelia were able to hold off Hannah Smith and Isabel Stelly on the open women doubles final that went to a second set, but Lexi and Noelia were able to pull it out.
Outstanding! Congratulations to them as well. That's amazing play. Noelia is
and on top of that, actually, outside of the women's events, they made it very deep on the winner's side of pro doubles. Teddy Kruger and Rob Balza, who eventually won the event, put them in the losers, and they managed to fight their way all the way to 5th, 6th. So they had a great weekend.
Yeah, for two lady players, that's fantastic.
And they also won. Adam was talking about Texas State. They won expert doubles out of Texas State, and I don't know that a lady team's ever done that. So they've really been putting on a show lately.
This is exciting. I believe Jim Stevens may be trying to join us here. Jim, are you with us?
Yeah. Hey guys, how are you?
Jim, welcome. I guess Mother Nature dealt you a bit of a right hook there. What's going on?
Yeah. Hi everybody from a very rainy kind of monsoon season like Durango here, where we've had thunderstorms and an inch or two of rain today, which we badly need. If you know the Western United States, you know that we are as dry as we maybe have ever been, and so a little water doesn't hurt.
Right. Oh, that is kind of surprising given your altitude and how much rain you don't normally get.
No, but every summer, ideally, and not every summer, the last few have been very dry, but we get monsoon season to where every afternoon the thunderstorms build over the mountains and drop sometimes hail and oftentimes, of course, rain and thunder and lightning, etc. So it can get pretty intense here in generally late summer, not this early in the year. So anyway, great to join you guys a little late, but
we're glad you could make it.
No problem.
Yeah,
good to be here.
We're foregoing the IPA of the week. We can hold off on that till next week. But
all right, well, just know that I'm drinking a good one.
Appreciate that. So Keith is on with us. Jim, any questions you'd like to throw at Keith?
No, not really. I know obviously this was a tournament that was held and scheduled on a very difficult weekend to have success when so many players, of course, are traveling to France and et cetera. So I know numbers are down. Of course, Mary Moore again, just trying to keep it alive, keep the Nationals alive, and doing the best she can. And Keith, I know you've brought the report, and hopefully you're having a good time up there.
I certainly am. Enjoying every minute of it.
All right.
Very cool. Well, Keith, it's great to have you jump in and help us out, man. I appreciate that, and great to hear about what's happening there on the ground. Anything else you'd like to add to your report from Kentucky?
I think that was most of the headlines. The one that we didn't talk about, I mentioned Brandon Munoz playing very well this weekend. He and Isabel Stelly won open mixed, and I felt like a moron because I didn't realize until he got in the booth with me, but he had a chance to triple.
Oh, no kidding!
And he was and he was playing with Kevin Romero's brother, only ranked an expert, doesn't play like it, but they got put in the losers bracket of open doubles kind of early, but they battled back a little bit, and then finally Teddy Kruger, Rob Balza put him out. But they finished 4th in open doubles. So Brandon Munoz threatened a triple, didn't quite get there. but great to see Brandon put on such a show.
Yes, no question about it. Very high caliber of play, no doubt. Well, Keith, thanks again for jumping in and helping us out with that, and great to hear what's happening. What's your next tournament? When are you going to be out on the road again?
3 weeks from this weekend.
Nice.
We'll be at least we'll be getting ready to get down in Lake Worth to have a good time down at the Beatdown.
The Beatdown. And are you going to be playing that weekend?
Oh, yes, of course. I have a title to defend. Jimmy and I won rookie doubles down there last year, and picking up a couple partners here in the late goings. So,
Jimmy Love, yeah?
Yes, Jimmy Love.
Right.
That's the only two questions I've gotten all weekend are where's Jimmy and where's Jim?
Oh, you mean Jim Stevens and Jimmy Love?
Yes.
Okay.
They see me up there in the booth, and all they can think is, where's Jim Stevens?
Right.
So
right.
Everybody missing Jim here out on tour, but we'll look forward to seeing him next time we get a chance. But definitely Beatdown. Going to be a lot of fun. So actually, I want to clear this up.
Yeah.
We did our little preview show there last week. Are Clay and Adam, are you guys playing together?
I don't know. Are we? No, we're not. We're not.
Okay.
No.
All right, that was the rumor.
No, we broke up. We broke up. So sorry for all the fans who were waiting.
Well,
yeah,
Adam, I'm doing this on air.
Kind of a sore topic. Thanks for bringing that.
Yeah, I was going to say that explains the awkward silence between the two of them.
Well, I didn't mean to put you guys in a weird spot, but Adam, if you do want to play an open doubles, I'm still looking for a partner.
Ooh.
Speaking of awkward spot, answer that question live.
Yeah, exactly. Now he can't say no, or he looks like a jerk on air.
Well, I can say no. I'll still be a partner to that extent.
Tom, take control here. Let's move on here. I don't want to answer.
It's usually me who says that. Adam, taking control of Tom.
No, it's because Keith has put me in a weird spot, and I feel awkward.
Yeah.
Anyways, Keith, we'll talk later.
Jim, can you take control of control of Adam? Taking control of Tom.
Relationships are very difficult, especially when the dirty laundry's aired right here on FoosTalk Live. I know it's tough, but Clay and Adam, they're adults. They can work it out. It's all right. It's fine.
I thank you for the compliment. It's been a while.
Keith,
since I've been called an adult, is what I'm saying.
Keith, it's really not a great idea to catch somebody on the rebound. You know what I'm saying?
That's been my modus operandi for most of my life.
give him a couple months.
That's my last bad joke. I'll let you guys finish.
All right.
See you, Keith.
Thanks, Keith.
All right, Keith. Thanks so much, man. So, Jim, just to catch up here, we're this is kind of a modified version of our normal show. We're actually looking forward to doing the top 5, but it's going to be near the end of the show. If that works for you.
Well, it will depend on how late that goes and how good my electricity is here in Durango.
Gotcha.
There is another big one heading our way that is expected in the next few minutes, but we'll see what happens.
Oh, really?
Have you guys talked? Have you talked about the World Cup so far?
Briefly.
Yeah, just briefly.
It could use your experience.
We played the flashback for sure.
When you're talking about experience, when you're talking about somebody who may very well, not to toot my own horn, but I may know World Cup foosball better than anybody in the world, having worked 8 of the 10 live, and of course have commentated all 10 World Cups that have been held. It's bittersweet. It absolutely is. I wish I was there. I'm missing it. It is the greatest event in the world. Certainly, there is nothing else that gives me the juice the way that one does. And so it is a little bittersweet not to be there. But, looking at breaking it down a little bit, and I've actually put in a little time at reviewing rosters of teams. And I have a couple of thoughts about the upcoming World Cup, which literally starts tomorrow in Nantes, France. And by the way, I know there are several different, going back in the word Nantes, what does it mean? One of the things it means is a carrot. If you go to France and you want carrots,
there's confirmation.
That's what you told me.
Confirmation.
Yeah,
I believe.
And so
I think that's a joke that they're playing on Americans, because everybody that I talk to who lives there says otherwise.
What are they?
Nothing I find there says anything about it.
About it. Well, I've been in a grocery store many times in France and seen the carrots. Having worked literally 6-7 events, actually more like 10 events in France over the years. One of the interesting things this year is going to see how Team USA does. Of course, Team USA has won 6 of the 10 World Cups. But they're not quite at full strength this year. You have, in fact, you can find all the rosters by going to table-soccer.org and looking at tournaments, World Cup, and then look at the breakdowns of the different events. And looking at the American roster this year, and of course, this is a team again that has won 60% of the previous 10 World Cups. Tony Spreiterman is there, of course. Todd Lafredo is there. Terry Rue, the big three there. That's your big three for this year's American team. But because names like Billy Pappas and Ryan Moore and Robert Mares and others, Tommy Yorr, all of whom were voted onto the team this year, elected not to compete. And it's understandable why. It is something that, especially coming out of COVID, where there hasn't been a lot of time to raise money, which has been done in the past to send teams over there. Basically, these players pay out of their own pockets to be there. And for the Americans in particular, it is quite an expensive trip. Of course, when you factor in the airfare and the hotels and everything else, players living adjacent to France, which is most of Europe, can get there relatively cheaply. And so you're going to find that probably a lot of the European teams are well represented this year, although with a couple of exceptions, as I've noticed as I've gone over this. But you fill out the American roster with Serge Aragonis and James Castillo, of course, out of Northern California. They're going to have a great time over there. I'm so happy that they're able to experience this. But then you add in names like Michael Stahl, another guy that is a friend of the radio show, of course.
Right.
A great young player getting to play for Team USA. How exciting is that for him?
That's not
our good friend Ezekiel Iceman Moore, who has coached the team a couple of times and has also played and won a silver medal as a player for Team USA. And then a young player out of Florida, Bracklin Buffkin, who I think was heading over there as a fan to take some pictures. He's a photographer, and he ends up playing for Team USA. And how exciting is that? The problem with that, however, is that they are certainly not the favorites. In fact, it's going to be difficult, I think, with this American team to even medal this year. It is not going to be easy. You've got your big three, but then there's a bit of a drop off. Obviously, Aragonis and Castillo are going to bring it on Tornado. The other tables, it's a question, having never competed in multi-table foosball. And you look at teams like Germany, who is loaded with 8 great young players who are multi-table players who have played a lot of Tornado. You look at France, who is so good on their home table. Look at the Austrians, who won the very first World Cup. And I'm assuming you played that flashback earlier. And so you look at these teams and others. One noticeable absence, Team Denmark, who has always been so strong with great players, not fielding a team this year. And again, for obvious reasons, I think with COVID and really the disintegration of a lot of national and regional programs around the world, or at least, to some degree. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens over there. The Americans are the underdogs here this year, which is an unusual thing to say. And maybe not in the eyes of the rest of the world, as it still is Team USA, still a team that has won 6, while no other country has ever won even 2. And so they're still going to be the rock stars for the most part. And these good young players that are playing for them are going to have a great time. But to me, and we'll talk about the women here in a minute as well. But for me, the team to look at, the country to look at this year at the World Cup, when it's all said and done, a week from now, when they look back on this week of foosball and not France, it's going to be Germany. I think it's going to be Germany that wins the World Cup among the men. I think they're going to win the women's. I think they're going to win the juniors, or at least be the favorites in all of those. And I think because of the strength of their program and continued growth of their program, I think this is the Germans' year. I think this is it. We've been looking ahead over the last few years and saying, look at all these good young German players. Well, I think it's time for Germany to show what they're made of. And I really think they will. I think a week from tonight, we're going to look back and they are going to be holding that big cup that represents which country had the best World Cup, and it's going to be them. The American women, of course, the defending champions, fielding a very similar team to the one that won that gold medal now 3 years ago. Yeah, in Murcia, Spain. However, they have got great competition as well. When you're looking at teams like Germany, who they faced in the World Cup final 3 years ago, Austria, France, who are both so strong on the Garlando and on the Bonzini tables. I think it's going to be tough for the Americans to go back to back. They can do it. They have the firepower. They have the team to do it. It's just going to be a tough run for them, as it was 3 years ago. The American junior team as well, loaded with young players like Evan McGregor and his brother, and Ethan Gwynn and others, and Nathan Ham out of Colorado, some really good young players. And again, inexperience always factors in with the juniors. And we don't have a program here to where these junior players can go and play on all the 5 different tables as they do in Germany, as they do in the Netherlands and other places. So, but yet I think this junior team has a shot for potentially, certainly to medal and potentially to win gold there this week. So it's always a lot of fun. It's neat to be in Nantes again. It's bittersweet for me. I wish I was there. I love this event. I've been a big part of this event for so long, and it's disappointing to some degree that I'm not able to attend this year. But it should be a great week of foosball in France.
Now, this will be, of course, skipping a year because the World Cup could not be held last year due to COVID. So does this mean the next World Cup will be held a year from now or two?
My thought is it's going to be two. They had settled
Two?
into a system of qualifying players over a 2-year period, and my assumption is that that's going to continue from here. I would be surprised if they go back to back. And there was a period starting in 2009 where they had one every year. 2009 through 2015, there was a World Cup every year, and then they switched it back to every 2 years. Initially, it was going to be every 4 years, like the soccer World Cup.
Right.
So I would anticipate that it would be in 2024.
Yeah, no, I suspect that's probably the pattern they're going to stick with as well. But hopefully, in that year, you'll be back in the saddle, so to speak.
Well, we hope so. We certainly love this event, and again, would work this event anytime. I love going over there. Some incredible memories, and from Nantes in particular, I believe I've worked 5 or 6 World Cup events. And going all the way back to the first one in Hamburg, Germany in 2006, back in Hamburg in 2017, Spain 3 years ago. Great memories. It is just, there's nothing quite like it. You take the greatest events in the world, like the Tornado World Championships, like international World Series events, and then you multiply that by fivefold. And
Right.
that's how great this event is. And especially at Nantes, where they get these crowds, local fans of soccer usually, who come out to watch foosball, pack the stands, about 1,500 strong,
Wow.
cheering primarily for Team France. If Team France is playing in front of their home crowd, it is amazing. It is so awesome to watch. And so
Yeah.
hopefully we'll be back. And I also want to touch a couple other things. We talked about Denmark not fielding a men's team this year, which is surprising, a great foosball nation. I also noticed Team Luxembourg, who won in 2015, the great Yannick Correa not playing this year. Frederic Collignon, of course, has not played in several years, but there are some names missing from rosters this year for the various teams around the world. So it's going to be a lot of fun, very interesting to watch. And if the U.S. can somehow win another gold medal, it would almost be a shocking outcome.
Well, it was great to hear the flashback earlier tonight. We played the flashback from 2006. Was that your first year at the World Cup?
It was, and that event, we've talked about it, with Christina Fuchs and with Ezekiel Moore and with Brad Anderson. The 4 of us were there to cover that event. First time we'd all ever traveled internationally. First time there'd ever been an event like this. It was a mess. It was fantastic. The greatest match in the history of foosball took place on that Saturday night when the USA faced France in a quarterfinal match that went 4 hours. Austria ended up winning it, as you heard in that flashback, but I still have such warm memories of that week in Hamburg, Germany. It was all so new to all of us. Literally, I had never been to Europe before that week. And since then, of course, I've been probably 40 times. But it was an amazing week of foosball there. And that has kind of continued. 2009, when the U.S. finally got their gold medal and went back to back, tripled, actually, went 3 years in a row. And then throughout the years, of course, they field the super team a few years ago when you get, Pappas and Moore and Sprademan and Lafredo and everybody on that same team, and just overpowered everybody, in dominant fashion. And the thing, and we've talked about it before, and I hope that you guys someday can experience this. It's that Olympic Village sort of feeling that you get. You all have the same thing in common. There's 300 or 400 of you there, different cultures, different languages, 35, 40 different countries.
Right.
But yet it's a brotherhood, and despite the fact that not everyone can communicate, although it's funny when you see a Polish person talking to an Italian person in English, which is the common language. It is just an amazing experience. There's nothing else really that approaches it, and it's hard to actually explain what it feels like, but it's quite extraordinary. And that is probably the thing I'll miss the most about not being there this week.
Right. Well, one of the things about American foosball, we've seen a lack of, other than Canadians and sometimes people from South America, we really don't see that many international players coming here any longer, like in the caliber of Freddie Collignon, which is unfortunate. Jim, do you think there'd ever be a time when the World Cup could be held here?
Ideally, yes, that would be great. Travel would be more difficult. One of the things if you win certain events, gain a certain number of points, finish in the top 16 among men or the top 8 among women, you basically get your trip paid for. There is no
Ah,
prize money over there. You're not
right.
playing for prize money. You're playing for the glory of your country and you're playing for
Mm-hmm.
medals.
Mm-hmm.
But for the ITSF to then, pay for everyone around the world to come to the US, which is a
Right.
long trip for everybody except for those from Mexico and Canada, would be interesting. So there'd have to be a lot of money involved. There certainly has been talk of it in the past. It is something you'd have to get big sponsors involved. You'd have to have a lot of money. You'd have to find the right venue.
Mm-hmm.
There's been talk of holding it actually up in Toronto, Canada, an international
Oh,
city that would be a hub.
I could do
But I
that.
think for now, and especially coming out of COVID and kind of recovering from all of this, I think going back to where it all kind of started in 2009 in the second World Cup, where they have now held, I believe, 5 World Cups in Nantes, and it's Farid Lounis is the president of the ITSF. It's his hometown. I think going back there for now to kind of begin to rebuild this is the first step.
Right. Now we're looking forward to the future, and hopefully things will bounce back. Not just getting you back there to commentate, but also return the status of the event of the World Cup once COVID is no longer an issue. Well, gee, I think that one of the things this weekend, of course, at Nationals in Kentucky, we had lots of very interesting matches, and of course, Costa Rica had a great showing with their players, not the least of which was Kevin Romero, who's joining us tonight. Kevin, welcome to FoosTalk Live. Thanks for joining us. Kevin, can you hear us?
You guys see me there?
I can hear you. There you are. So
How's everybody?
how you doing?
Good. Having a good time right now.
So now, have you been in Kentucky for 5 days with the tournament?
No, I got here on Thursday.
Thursday, got it. So
Yeah, Thursday.
So 4 days nonetheless, and you traveled from Colorado, I understand.
Yeah, my dad lives in Maryland, and we usually like spend some time together when we have to come down to Kentucky, and we just drive down from there. It's only like 7 hours and a half.
Okay, not
So
bad.
yeah, that's what we did because they were supposed to have nationals in Colorado where I live, so they were gonna go
Yes,
there and hang out with me for a few days, but they didn't. So I had to come here and hang out with my family,
right.
like a family trip, you know.
Understood. We should have had you on last week. We had our Father's Day special talking about dads and foosball, and how long has how long has it been since your dad and you first started playing foosball?
Oof, I don't know. I'm 26, about to be 27,
Mm-hmm.
and he got me into football. And honestly, I'm not really sure when we started playing together.
Right. So as soon as you could see the top of the table, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
So what kind of tables were you playing on when you were growing up?
So we have this old school table in Costa Rica. You can't even have control of the ball over there. So that's why we play really fast and always,
Mm-hmm.
always like fighting and hustling the ball because we never had control of the ball in that table. That's the old school table we have, and they don't. It's not even recognized, obviously,
Right.
but
Right.
that's how everybody plays. The old school players from Costa Rica. That's how they all play.
Now we think of like the Italian style of play. They tend to never stop the ball. It's constantly moving, but of course they're shoving the table around the room. Are you guys doing the
Yeah,
same thing?
kind of the same thing. Kind of the same thing.
Is
I
that
I had some cool stories back then
okay?
when my dad started playing football. They didn't know about people playing football in the world. They thought they were the only ones playing football in Costa
Hmm.
Rica, and football only existed in Costa Rica. So
No
they didn't
kidding.
know. So they realized people play football, in different areas in the world, and they came here to the U.S. for the first time, and they didn't even know there were reps, there were rules, and things like that.
No kidding.
They, yeah, I should have got it. And they came here thinking they were gonna win the tournaments easy. They did not, obviously. So that's how everything started in Costa Rica.
And when was the
Yeah.
first time you played in the States?
Oh my god, I'm so bad with dates and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say about 2014.
Got it.
My first tournament was Maryland State. Just because, like I said, my dad has been in Maryland for 14 years already.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, it was the state tournament. So I went up there and I stayed a couple of days with my dad, and we had the tournament. So we played there. So that was my first tournament.
Got it.
Maryland State.
And many of your fellow Costa Ricans have followed suit. Have they? Did they follow your example? Is that what happened?
Not my example, my dad example.
Oh,
Not
got it.
me.
Your
My
dad.
dad.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the one. He's the one that brought Foosball professionally in Costa Rica. He brought it down there. And then after him, I came up, Brandon came up, his brother, my brother, you know, and not just us. There's a lot of people down there.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So I know that you've been really knocking at the door, so to speak, when it comes to the top echelon of foosball players. Obviously, your goal is to break through. When do you think that might happen? What do you think you're going to have to do to make that happen?
I don't want to put like a date, you know. I don't want to say I'm going to do it this year or next tournament. I just, honestly, I just want to have fun. I just want to enjoy it. And if it happens, it happens. If it never happens, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
You know, at least I'm enjoying it. You know,
right?
That's why I want to do it every time. Every time I come out to play football professionally, I just want to enjoy it. And if it works my way, I'm happy with it.
Well, you look like you're having fun for sure.
Yeah. I absolutely did this weekend. It was special to me this weekend. I played with my dad. It was my mom's birthday too.
Wow.
So yeah.
Happy birthday to your mom.
To my mama. Yeah. Happy birthday, mama.
Hey, Kevin, Jim Stevens here. How are you?
Hi, Jimmy. How you doing?
Good, buddy. Quick question. You know, you and Brandon Munoz, both out of Costa Rica, both great young players. I would like you to talk a little bit about not only your friendship, but also how competitive you guys are against each other. Do you look at him kind of as a rival? Is he a guy you always are looking to beat, and maybe it means a little bit more when you do beat him? I know you guys are also good friends, but talk a little bit about your relationship with another great young player, Brandon Munoz.
Super competitive, and he grew up in my house. Like I said, my dad was the one that brought football down there, so he was always in my house, practicing and playing with him. Back then, I wasn't into football that much. Honestly, I wasn't like Brandon was, and as I grew up, he was getting better and better. I don't know. I just want to get better in football. I had my dad, the first world champion from Costa Rica, so I was like, damn, how am I gonna let this happen? So I started getting better, practicing, and it was always Brandon and myself and his brother. I'm not gonna let his brother. I'm not gonna let his brother out of the scene because it was always Brandon, his brother, or myself on the finals down there. So it was really super competitive all the time, every time. So
Yeah, we talk about it sometimes on the show, and the guys kind of give me a little flack about it. But to me, I picture these long nights, right? You show up to somebody's garage there. You got a couple tables in there. There's no air conditioning. You're in Costa Rica where it's warm and it's humid, and you're sweating, and you're playing all night, every night of the week. Because when you watch you guys and you watch the way you play, it is very obvious that you have spent a lot of time on a table. So talk about some of those nights in Costa Rica where you guys are just battling on the table all night long, sweating in this steamy, lovely tropical weather, and playing some foosball.
So we used to play a lot of money games, money matches.
Really?
That's how we play down there. We have a tournament once in a while, but money games that was our thing. And everybody plays like that down there. It's not just Brandon and myself. You see any other player from Costa Rica comes out here and play a tournament, they all play kind of like fighting, yelling, screaming, always that emotion, right? And everybody does. Am I right? Everybody does that comes from
Yeah,
Costa Rica. They all do.
that's right.
And that's how we learn how to play.
Yeah. And your father, of course, Carlos Espedes Martinez, was such an important person in all of your lives. He is kind of the godfather of Costa Rican
Ambassador.
foosball.
Ambassador.
The
He's the
ambassador. Oh,
ambassador.
absolutely.
He's the one.
100%. But also, I didn't Tony Sprademan kind of play a role as well? He came down there, got to know you guys, played with you guys. I mean, you had to have a little bit of an influence also, I think, maybe from Tony when he would come down and play.
Thank God, because the first time Tony came down there, he stayed in my house. So having Tony, first time Tony is in Costa Rica, he's staying at my house. You tell me how I'm gonna feel, right?
Oh my goodness! Yes.
Obviously, I was like, damn, it's like a superstar in my house. I'm hanging out with him, eating breakfast with him. Freaking amazing. It was like a dream came true. Honestly, it was. And it was really good. It was really like a great experience. And then back in the day, we didn't have a chance to come up here to play tournaments, and we only had those videos you used to make, Jim. The VHS, the old black cassettes. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, because my dad came up here and he brought him down there, and we used to spend hours watching y'all playing. Robbie with a long hair, back in the day. Tony, just a kid. Billy too, just a kid. Ryan too. Everybody, we just watching it on TV, just waiting for the chance to come up here and just having a chance to play. That's all we wanted. And now I'm having Tony in my house. That was hell amazing. That was a great experience for real.
That's awesome, Kevin. Hey, it's Adam.
Yeah. Hey, Adam.
I got a question for you. I'm just curious. So I know that it's kind of hard for a lot of players in Costa Rica and in South America in general coming to the United States to play. Which I talked to Brandon about this. That to get better, you do have to come up here, right? As far as the competition, and I'm just curious about how that tournament that you had a couple months ago, how that went. What your impressions? Is that something that's just going to be, what's going to be happening every year going forward?
Yeah, my dad is the one that's running those tournaments, and this last one was the best one so far. Just because of the names that from here that came down there: Blake, Todd, Tony. Tony always goes down there, and then Scott O'Hare, big names. And for like players, like down there, they were like, "Damn, we're having all these players right here." It was a great experience for them, and for the American players that went down there, it was a great experience for them too. We have good football players, and at the same time, it's just like a fun time, vacation time too. So that was like one of the best tournaments we ever had, and next year is gonna be bigger.
That's awesome. It's going to be in the kind of the same time frame, March or so.
Yeah. I think my dad posted the dates already.
Oh, okay, I haven't seen it yet.
He did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the dates, exactly the dates so far, but yeah, he did. He posted them already.
Fantastic. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. It's really fun. And football wise, we have great players down there, and if you come down there, you're gonna see it. You're gonna struggle. You have to fight.
So
it ain't gonna be easy.
So, Kevin, can we all stay at your house?
Well, so they have this tournament on the beach. I live like 2 hours from there. So if you want to travel, if you want to drive, you're more than welcome to stay at my house.
Now I'll just sleep on the beach. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, me too.
The sand is pretty soft. That'll be great. No, I'd love to. For one would love to come down there sometime, of course, to not only play foosball but to see your beautiful country, Pura Vida. And it would be so much fun to come down and do that some year. So that's on my bucket list, as they say, of events I'd love to cover.
It's a great place.
Yeah.
So many beaches, so many places that I don't even know.
Now, in Costa Rica, do you have a lot of audience people? Do you have audience members that come out to watch the play, or is it just other players that are there that watch the matches?
Usually, audience is just like our friends. They know we're playing foosball, and they're like, "Really, foosball?" They don't even know until they come and see it, and they're like, "Wow, I didn't know this existed." But yeah, that's just how it is. It's usually like the same people, all the time. We just bring friends over. And that's it. We don't have that big of an audience, but yeah, we have a big scene of football players.
It's we've got a question actually being fielded by one of our listeners, and he's making a statement and a question here. He says, "Kevin, I love the style of play you bring to the USA. It's how I learned to play as well. 56 years ago, I used to work with tournament player from Costa Rica named Marcio Bonilla. I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Argio Bonilla.
Margio Bonilla. Gotcha. I was wondering if you had heard of him.
No, actually not. He said like how many years ago?
Well, he says
he was a 1970s player,
Yeah,
tournament
right.
player.
I know Marcio quite well.
You do?
Hall of Famer,
Yeah.
Hall of Fame player. Yep, he's in the Hall of Fame. He was a
No,
member
he's
of the
from Costa Rica.
from Costa Rica. Yeah.
Yeah.
No way.
And a touring player, a player who was part of the tournament soccer, a traveling team that would come around the country and train players and teach players how to play. Great guy. We've seen him in Las Vegas a couple of times over the last 10 years. Really a credit to foosball and a credit to Costa Rica.
He played goalie like this, right? Where his left hand was
He
like,
did. Yeah.
and that was his right hand. Very,
Huh.
very
I'm
unusual.
gonna tell you something. I haven't heard about this guy ever. And I don't mean it in any like bad way at all. But I'm sure not even my dad knows about him. This is the first time I ever heard that name.
I'd be surprised if your dad doesn't know about him. I bet he does. I bet he might. We'll have to ask him. Maybe we'll have him on the show next time.
No, I'm gonna ask
but,
him the name.
yeah, Marcio Bonilla.
Bonilla,
Or he
I
has,
won't forget.
as they say, other people like to say Bonilla, but in Costa Rica it's pronounced Bonilla,
Bonilla.
I believe.
Yeah. Yep. Bonilla.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. That and he's been playing for what, 5
Yeah,
decades?
it's interesting to me a lot. I born in
Yeah.
'95. I'm a kid. Oh, not yet. I'm getting old, but
He
I'm a
stopped
kid.
playing. He stopped playing about 1979. So that's
that makes
quite a long
Exactly
time
right.
ago.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
You're
Tom, I feel
Kevin,
like
let me
wow,
go
boy,
ahead.
1995.
no, I would just a quick follow up. I feel like that was my dad asking that question.
Yeah. No, your dad knew him well, of course.
did, yeah.
Your dad Terry worked on the tour with Marcio at the same time.
That's
For me, you're a player that Adam and I and Tom, as people who cover the sport and are reporters of the sport, you're a guy that we watch closely. We know you're one of the next great players potentially, right? What are your goals moving forward? Do you want to continue to compete, continue to improve as a player? Do you want to win world championships? Maybe someday represent Costa Rica at the World Cup when you field a team. What are some of your goals as a player moving forward?
I do want to win a world title. That's like the main goal for me right now. I really do. Singles right now is being, I don't know why the exact reason, but it's being harder. But in doubles, I like doubles a lot right now because I'm playing for somebody else, and it's like an extra motivation. And I have an extra reason to do better. So it helps. It's been helping me out a lot lately. But I want to get a world title, absolutely. Um, Playing for Costa Rica, honestly, I don't think I have said this before to anyone, but I want to play for US. And
Wow.
once I get that title, that world title, I know they're gonna think about me. They're gonna put me on that list of players that that can play for them. So I want to show with like facts. I want to show them that I can be there.
Right.
So that's one of my main goals. Costa Rica, I born there, and I love Costa Rica. Whole family is from there, obviously. But it's just so hard for us to just go and not get any money back, in return, or
Right.
just like the whole flight, the whole thing, the hotel, everything is so expensive for us. Just come here, US, play here. It's really expensive. Now going to Europe, to play in a tournament where you don't get any money back, it's even harder. So we don't have sponsors, we don't have help from anybody. So I don't see Costa Rica, getting up there playing for the real cup, the A division. I don't know how they call it. I know they have like two divisions, and I want to experience that. I want to. And this country, I love US, opened so many doors to me, life wise in general. My friends, family, people I love, they're from here, and I love football. In US, they have the best players.
Well,
Yeah, so you're saying you would love, I mean, and to make it onto the American team in most years is difficult to do, considering the players that compete for Team USA. But that's a great goal to have, and especially if you kind of now, obviously you are Costa Rican, but you kind of consider yourself an American now. I assume that you're probably going to live here, maybe forever, maybe the rest of your life, or at least part of the year you'll live here, right? And so I think that's a great goal to have, to compete for, the greatest men's team in the history of the sport, Team USA at the World Cup. That's an admirable goal, and we wish you good luck.
Yeah, I appreciate
Buena
that.
suerte.
Yeah, thank you. Gracias. I want to make it. I know I can. I can do it, and it's just a matter of time.
So Kevin, earlier you touched on the fact that Costa Rican players, and of course, we noticed with the World Cup, there's a lot of noise going on during play, a lot of yelling, a lot of passion when it comes to that. What do you think about the American rule of no distraction and the kind of play? It's like going to a golf match here in America. How long did it take you to get used to that, and what do you think about changing that?
Well, I used to be like that. I used to be really loud.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I swear to God, no one from Costa Rica meaning in any bad way,
Oh
like
no,
trying to like cheat or
no,
get people mad about. No one means that.
right,
We just trying to like support ourselves, like kind of motivate ourselves.
right.
And but when I moved out here, this is cool. I realized that it can come the wrong way. It can be like it might seem like I'm trying to like be like not dirty, but play some kind of way, play some different game, mental games, and I realized that when I moved out here.
Mm-hmm.
So not naturally, it made me change it. So I can see that happening, but it's just like how we are.
Yeah.
That's how we are. We fighters, and then we know we come from different place, and then we have some skills. We can show the people that we can do it. We can be there all the time. So that's like the whole reason of it. Like we don't mean any bad at all.
Oh yeah, no, I think there's something to be said for being passionate about playing. Now, I
And
know,
it's exciting. It's
yeah,
exciting. It puts
exactly,
some passion on the game. And we're like, we love football. You
right.
guys don't even know how much we love this thing. I swear to God.
Oh, I think
You,
we have an
you guys
idea.
love it for real, but we love it so much.
Yeah. No, it to me, this has taken me back quite a few years, but there was used to be a New York State Championship, and we had the New York Cup. And during that specific part of the weekend of the tournament, there were different parts of the state that different towns would compete against each other, and they'd field teams, and it was allowed to sit in the stands and watch and cheer for your town, at the top of your lungs, and the whole match was like that the entire time.
Wasn't that fun?
Oh, it was awesome.
Wasn't that
It
fun?
made it so
Right?
amazing, and everybody was just cheering, and I think there's something missing here. We need that.
Yeah, there's nothing better than team events, no doubt about it. We've seen
Yeah.
it at some team type events, whether it's state versus state, or region versus region, county versus county, or nation versus nation, as we're seeing this week uh, in France as well. So no, there is that is kind of the best form of foosball. It really is, in terms of team camaraderie, playing for something, united as a team. There really is nothing better.
So Kevin, keep it up.
Yeah, I think we need that. I think we need that in this sport. Football is a sport, and we need it.
Yep.
Yeah.
We need it. We need those, screams
Mhm.
after a goal, people supporting each other.
Yeah.
I want to recall this time last year, nationals actually a year ago in Colorado.
Oh
I was
yeah,
playing.
what a great
I was
match.
playing with. I was playing with the Root, right? You remember
Yeah.
Adam?
Oh yeah.
Oh
I
my
was
goodness.
Never
Mark.
forget that.
Mark was there, and he said like he couldn't be there anymore because he wants to support their friends. Sergio and James.
Right.
And like so far in my football career, I never had any more exciting match than that one.
That was incredibly exciting. That maybe it would be number 2 now after the match that we had at Texas State in 4-on-4, which I know,
I knew you were going to say that.
that was awfully exciting. Certainly a great match that went right down to the wire. And I do, apologize for
You remember?
Adam and I beating you guys if you remember
Yeah.
any of it. But a great final night for sure. But Kevin, it's been great having you tonight. I love your energy. I love watching you play on the table, the
Mhm.
talent, the fire, the competitiveness, and you're still young, and I think your best days are still ahead of you. And I wish you again buena suerte for your career, and keep doing what you're doing. we really appreciate you here at Inside Foos and FoosTalk Live.
I
Thank you,
appreciate you
Kevin.
guys. Thanks for having me here. I appreciate this a lot.
And when are you heading back to Colorado after the tournament this weekend?
Like I said, I want to spend some time with my family, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna drive back to Maryland tomorrow,
Oh,
Monday.
gotcha.
Yeah, tomorrow's Monday. Yeah, so we're driving back to Maryland. I'm gonna stay there for one more week,
Right.
and then flying back to Colorado.
Excellent. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on your play this weekend. We're looking forward to seeing you again. When's your next tournament?
Probably it's gonna be Worlds. I'm gonna try to do
Oh, good.
Mississippi.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm gonna try to do Mississippi before Worlds. We'll see. I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to do that.
At Tornado Championships, the rest of us are probably going to be there. Looks like
Yeah.
at least Jim and I. Adam, were you planning on being Tornado
Planning.
Championships? Yeah. Planning on it?
Planning.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Hopefully everyone can make it. That should be a lot of fun.
Oh, we'll have to get together.
Yeah,
we will.
Yep.
All right. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for being on FoosTalk Live, man. It's great pleasure getting a chance to talk to you. And man, we're going to be watching, see what happens with your career here.
Thank you. I appreciate this a lot. I really mean it. Thanks for having me over. Anytime.
Sure.
I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm
Doors
down.
open. The
Yeah,
door's open
I
anytime.
love it.
Yeah. Excellent.
I have so many stories. You guys don't even know.
Oh,
Well,
that's exciting.
we'll be tapping you for those stories in the very near future. Very cool.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right. Well, and safe travels getting back, but congratulations on your weekend, and let's talk again soon.
Yeah, I'll be down. Just
All right,
hit me
Kevin.
up.
Alrighty. Thank you,
All right.
Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you all. Thank
All
you
right.
all. Thank you.
All
For
right.
real. I mean,
See you, Kevin. Appreciate you, man.
Guys, I got to say, it's great to get a chance to get the perspective of people who are traveling to this country to play and to learn and to strive to be as good as the players here in the States. That's gratifying, and of course, Kevin has brought a lot to this game.
Yeah, he has, and it's always great to see he and his father, Carlos Espedes Martinez, playing together.
Yeah.
And as a father of a son, how much would that mean to me? It would be, and I'm sure Adam, you feel the same way. It would be incredible, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think we need to, with that, Jim, we need to talk about last week's episode because, of course, we pre-recorded everything about being a dad in foosball. And, after listening to the entire episode with you guys, Clay and, of course, Mark talking about their moments as dads, it's like, man, if I could just go back 30 years and start over again, I might follow suit and try that.
No regrets, buddy. No regrets. Come on. It's no, it is an amazing experience. It's one I never thought I would have, of course, having my first child well into life. But it's been magical, and certainly and the kids have been playing every night lately, and they're both getting quite good. And it's a lot of fun to watch their development as well.
So maybe future members of Team USA, junior team.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. For now,
cool.
it's all about having fun for all of us who call Durango, Colorado home.
Jim, it is our sincere hope in the near future you'll be calling the matches of both your young children, on the table.
I think I'll bring in Keith Glen for that one. That would be tough.
That would be hard.
I've called my wife's matches, and it's hard. When I go over to one of the things, whenever I would go over to the World Cup, obviously, or any international event that involved Americans, I have to be impartial, right? In my heart, obviously, I'm an American, okay? But as I'm watching these matches, I have to be impartial, and I'm able to do it. And people have commented on how fair I am to both sides.
Right.
But with my wife playing, and then especially with my kids playing, it would be really, really hard.
Adam, do you think you could do it? If Avery were on the table?
Adam's a pro.
Yeah. No, if I had to call my son's match, sure. I mean, I would rather be playing with him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know how that would ever work out, but that's always my pipe dream. I would love to be playing with him.
And here's the other, and as we kind of close out, I know we've got more to do, but as we look again at World Cup this year, I kind of feel like if I had gone to World Cup this year, I'd probably be on Team USA.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
That's probably
you have to
true.
do double
Which
duty
would be pretty awesome. That would be pretty awesome. Doing the intros for the ceremonies, doing the commentary for the for the video, and then playing for Team USA.
Wow.
It'd be pretty special.
And then we'd have to all
But
get...
it's been that kind of a year.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and again, you know, it's I don't know if it's a controversial topic or not, but the lack of participation, you know, except for the women's team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you look at the men's team makeup, you look at the senior team makeup. There are many names not represented this year on the senior team, men who have been a part of a gold medal winning effort. And if, you know, one medal, I believe they won a bronze in Murcia. But names like, you know, Adrian Zamora, not there. Steve Murray, not there.
Mm-hmm.
Players who have elected not to go. You know, we are sending over teams, you know, but we had a run there of 3 or 4 or 5 years where we were sending over our best teams in
Right.
almost every category. It isn't that way this year. And obviously there are factors involved with that. And it's going to be kind of interesting to where the USA now has kind of come back to the world. But it's awfully difficult for me to see the USA winning a gold medal.
If memory serves,
Anything.
if we look at the Olympics and the moments that we sent our basketball teams, once basketball was being used in the Olympics, we were sending our top pros, were we not?
Well, initially, up until 1992, we were sending college players,
Okay.
and we won more often than not. But there were occasions where we didn't, where we lost to Argentina one year, where we lost to the Russians in '72. But once they sent the dream team in '92, and they opened it up to professionals, '92 was the first year that professional athletes could compete at the Olympics. Up till then, it was all amateur.
Okay.
And then we sent our strongest team, and it's the greatest basketball team ever put together.
Right.
You know, with
Dream
names
team.
like Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan and Larry Bird and Karl Malone and Charles
Oh.
Barkley, all in the same team.
Oh my God.
Pretty ridiculous. And that's kind of what the Americans have been when you talk about the top of the lineup for the American men, right? Tony Spraderman, Ryan Moore, Billy Pappas. Boom, boom, boom. How do you beat that?
Right. Yeah. That's a combination that that doesn't come every day. Maybe next time.
Yeah,
Yep.
we'll see what happens
kind of
as the sport continues to evolve in whatever directions it's going to evolve in.
Well, this has been a topsy-turvy year, as you mentioned. It's been a little. We're all a little out of sorts. I guess, let's put it that way.
You think?
Yeah. Speaking of which, we're. I think this is probably an appropriate moment to talk about changes that are coming here for FoosTalk Live. Not only we're now joined on to Twitch TV. We're doing that live, but we're also changing up our usual features. The IPA of the week, I think we'll hang in there with the IPA.
Now it's our most popular segment, Tom.
Oh, yeah,
of course we would.
No question. The flashback, I think that still is viable as well. Although
Always great to look at foosball history. Absolutely.
yeah, but I think the top 5 has really started to show its age. In fact, I think it's terminal. Personally,
I mean, at least for now, it's got to go in the refrigerator. When we're down to the top 5 mustaches on foosball players, when we get down to that point, it's about time that we shift gears and move in a different direction because we've kind of run out of top 5s.
So, guys, if you forgive me, I mean, are you ready to do the top 5 of top 5s? Is that something you?
This is it. It's kind of our top 5, final top 5. Adam, what do you think?
Swan song until we dust it off and it's been in the fridge long enough and mustaches have evolved.
It's kind of like
that's when we know it's time to come out.
You think about it this way: it's like Adam's sauerkraut. His it's got to ferment for a period of time. So,
That's very topical.
And then it will be delicious.
Then it will be delicious.
At that point.
It'll be delectable, and smell like warm compost in July.
Let's just stop.
Well, the top 5 was something that we initiated, I think, fairly early in the program, and it's been fantastic, right? It's been great. It's been a great way to look at history, to look at strategy, to look at every aspect of foosball and kind of have fun counting it down. Was it the absolute? No, of course not. We all had our opinions, and sometimes we had a lot of fun with it. Always, we took our own approaches to it. But it was something I know I looked forward to for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when we had topics that we could genuinely kind of sink our teeth into. But that's become more difficult. So I think it is time to shift gears, and we have some plans moving forward. I think that that I think will take us to new levels.
Absolutely. So with that, I think it's ceremoniously time to say goodbye to the last top 5. This, of course, is the final time you're here. The top 5 for the foreseeable future. This one, of course, is the top 5 of the top 5 on top FoosTalk Live. Time once again for the FoosTalk Live Top 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Foos Talk Live Top 5. Number.
You know what? I just got a little emotional. I love this. This was a fun segment. I know it's been kind of going through its course, but this has been a lot of fun. And when I did my first one with you all, my first episode with you all as not a guest, there was a top fives that really drew me in.
Mm-hmm.
But my number 5 is going to have to be from the 100th episode.
Ooh.
And it was when we just went back and looked at the top 5 things about FoosTalk Live, takeaways from FoosTalk Live, right? And that wasn't necessarily foosball oriented per se. It was a lot more personal, especially for me. But I just love that because, Jim, Tom, we've talked about this before many times. Everything that we do with Inside Foods, Foos Talk Live, anything we do is for me the human aspect of it. Getting to know you all, becoming friends with you all, and the foosball community, and to be able to look back at that at episode number 100 and reminisce is why the 100th episode top 5 takeaways from Foos Talk Live is my number 5.
Ooh.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I think we kind of all at that point were beginning to kind of look back on what we had done over the last year and a half or so, 2 years, and kind of again reminisce about what has made this show great. For me tonight, I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach instead of honing in on individual episodes, which is tough when you're talking about almost 115 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But there were, part of what has made the top 5 great was when we take a certain approach to something. In this case, for number 5 for me, is when we looked at our top 5s by shot. Who's got the best pull shot, who's got the best snake shot, etc. Those were always really interesting to kind of divide the sport up into an offensive sort of perspective to where we looked at the different shots. Obviously, Lafredo, the greatest pull shot, and Collignon, the greatest pin shot, snake shot. I think we settled on Tony Spredeman, who kind of reinvented it with the walking snake. But that's one of the things that has made this topic great. And I'm going to kind of continue on this theme as we count it down. But it's the being able to take a certain category, take a focus in on it, hone in on the specifics of it, and kind of really make it that week's topic. That maybe there was conversation generated out of it, which is something we're always looking to do, controversy even.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, looking at who had the best shots, the particular shot on the 3-row. For me, number 5 for me were those episodes that looked at on that.
Foos Talk Live Top 5. Number.
Jim, I love where you're going with that. That's exciting. I can't wait to hear that. So my number 4 is going to be, again, always sits around this for me, is legacy. That which we do now, echoes into eternity. And one of the things that I just loved hearing. I mean, I know that I have my own insights and whatnot because of my history with foosball, but I loved hearing, Jim, your experience with foosball and our episode. It was 101st episode, actually, when we were talking about the people that should be the players, promoters, or what have you, that should be in the Hall of Fame and aren't for whatever reason.
I
And
remember that.
to me, that was a very emotional episode for me, just because I don't know. I mean, I'm getting older. I'm middle aged now, and I start thinking about legacy and that what you leave behind. And it's nice in this thing that we do in foosball, these tournaments we go to, and these friends we make for life, to see how they impact not only us and each other, but those that come after. So, from me, my number 4 would be that homage to the legacy of foosball players and those that are involved.
No, I think that's awesome. And the fact that we can illuminate players like Scotty Weidman, Gus Trevino, Stacy Fowler, and others who should be in the Hall of Fame. And maybe what we do here can influence voters moving forward to really make it right. I mean, those are absolutely no brainers and should be in there. And that was an episode that when I did the research on it, when I broke it down, I learned some things and I really became much more staunchly in the corner of Scotty Weidman in particular.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, looking at the record, an absolute no-brainer for sure. For me, number 4, we had our top 5. Gosh, it's probably a year or so ago, and Adam, I'm not sure if you were involved or not. I think Mark was, but it was the top 5 locations or hotels or
Mm.
venues that the sport has ever seen. Right. And for me, as somebody who has worked almost, I don't know, 300 tournaments or so around the world at all these great events, we were talking to Kevin Romero earlier about Costa Rica and how magical would it be to go down there and play foosball on
Mm-hmm.
the beach, be able to go up into the rainforest, up on into the cloud forest on the mountain, to be able to go surfing, to be able to do all of that, to experience everything that a venue or a location offers. Number one for me was the big island of Hawaii, where in 2009, Warrior held a tournament. None of us wanted to play foosball. We wanted to do everything else. It was an amazing hotel, an amazing experience. The foosball was fun as well. Amy, my wife, was with me, which made it all the more special. This is before we had kids. And so it was just an amazing, amazing thing. And then you talk about, I've done something like 25 or 30 tournaments in Germany, all over Germany. I was counting the
Wow.
number of airports that I had been to in Germany, and it's something like 12 or 14 in
12.
Germany, airports
Wow.
that I had been to. And I remember these venues, and oftentimes, obviously, an event, you remember who wins, who loses, some of the great matches, but primarily sometimes you remember the location and how special it was and how cool it was. Getting to go to France, getting to do tournaments in Paris, um, obviously all over the United States, the Beach Town Beatdown, which I know is coming up here soon. So for me, the thing that really sparked incredible memories for me, and at this stage in my career, I'm very nostalgic, and I look back on so many great memories that I've captured over the years. And for me, at number 4, it was all about locations.
Location, location, location. Foos Talk Live Top 5. Number 3.
So for number 3 for me, pardon me, I um, I got to tell you, it was one of the scariest things in the world for me to get on a plane last June to go to my first tournament in years, but not to play, to go and do stuff with the great Jim Stevens inside Foos, which was just like a crapshoot for me. I was like, is this going to work out? What's going to happen? And it was, I mean, one of the most the most fun. I mean, it wasn't even the most fun. It was the beginning of some of the most fun period of my lifetime. And a few, I think it was a week or 2 after that, I remember Jim saying something about FoosTalk Live, which I'd heard episodes of, but I was like, "What is that even? What do you what?" And I showed up as a guest, and I remember showing up as a guest and thinking, "Oh, this is cool. I like this." It's,
Okay.
I think, and then I came back as somebody that was part of the, like, a guest host, I guess, and I got to do my first top 5 with you all, and that was episode 64. I don't remember what it was. All I remember was the episode 64, and that was my first one. And I will. Oh, that is my number. I mean, it could be higher, it could be like, whatever. It doesn't matter. It was like the beginning of this long, incredible, amazing journey. So for me, number 3, episode 64, top 5, whatever it was.
Whatever it
Whatever
was,
it
yeah.
was.
Whatever it was.
We'll have to look that up and
Yeah.
determine what it was. And that's part of what has made tonight's top 5 difficult is there have been so many great ones.
Right.
Looking back, and another one that I really enjoyed at number 3. And by the way, talking about Adam's first appearance, I was told about 3 weeks, 4 weeks before the event that Adam was going to be coming in to work in the booth with me. And I thought, all
Mm-hmm.
right, good. I've had some great conversations with Adam, bright guy, good communicator, knows the game extremely well. And in that first weekend, he was immediately good. There were ups and downs, as there always are, but I really enjoyed working with him. And that's continued on, over the last, gosh, it's been a year now, hasn't it?
It's been a year.
A
Yeah.
year.
And it's, I look forward to it every time. Adam and I have great rapport in the booth. And while we're not able to do it as often these days as we would
Right.
hope to, I look forward to it every single time.
Ditto.
Um, for me, number 3, it was when we looked at the best at different positions, the best forward in the
Mm.
history of foosball, the best goalie in the history of foosball. And while I don't know that we had much debate on best forward, there were names on the list, obviously, like Tony Spreadham and Todd Lafredo and Tom Spear and maybe Tommy Atkinson and others. But I think pretty much unanimously we all agreed it was Frederick Collignon,
Yeah.
who I don't have any problem at this stage, now 10 years since his last appearance here in the United States, illuminating the greatness of this man. Goalies, Bob Diaz, Tracy McMillan, Todd Lafredo. There was debates. I don't think we all agreed on who came out on top, but it's that debate that makes it special. Who is the greatest at this position? Who is the greatest at that position? Who's the greatest singles player? These sorts of things make for fascinating conversation and hopefully dredge up a conversation among the listeners as well. And for us to initiate those conversations is what makes it special. We do our research on these shows, folks. Tonight, maybe not so much, a little bit. But for the most part, you have to research. You have to look back. You have to look at records. You have to look at history. And I think with me and with Adam, with Mark, and with you, Tom, when you've jumped in, we've all done our research. We've all done our homework on this stuff and have proved ourselves to be fairly knowledgeable and have pretty good perspectives on this. But the positional stuff was especially interesting when you look at a guy like Diaz at goalie, who is so good defensively, or Tracy McMillan, who's so good offensively, or Lafredo as a goalie who started his career as a forward, or who finishes 2 through 5 on the list after Fred. And these are the kinds of things that have made this also very special. And so for me, it was the positional aspect of it that made it so special at number 3.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number 2.
So my number 2, this was as a fan. This is before I was even involved, and I think Jim, you were actually just kind of alluding to this, but it was January of last year, and you and Mark did a top 5 forwards in the '90s, and it was built. And I remember I was interested in it because in the the breakdown, the description, the episode description is like, you and Mark come to blows, and I was like, really? Do you? I was just curious, but I mean,
Mentally.
but really though, it was such lively, great conversation, and I was like, this is when I was really first drawn into the podcast, because I was like, wow, you all are making an environment or a platform in which to discuss these things, have disagreements, and move on. And I think I really feel like, and I know this is something that's probably been on your mind a while though, but it felt like a precursor to the top 50 players, which I still think is probably the crowning achievement that we've done here on FoosTalk Live. But that being said, that number 2 for me was that episode, episode 37. I wrote these all down. The top 5 forwards. I just loved hearing that interplay about foosball in a way that wasn't just, hey, screw you. We're actually talking about foosball. That's my number 2.
No, thank you for that. And again, Mark Torres, say what you will about him, but the man knows foosball, right? All the bluster, all the comedy, all the whatever.
Whatever.
He knows foosball, and you as well, Adam, have proven that you're a knowledgeable foosball man, and I think that's so important for something like this, for a top 5, that people trust your judgment, trust your perspective, acknowledge that you do know what you're talking about. For me, at number 2, and this is something I think that when Tom and I first started the show way back when, part of it was obviously the conversation. Obviously, we wanted involvement from listeners and now viewers, but it was also focusing in on events. All right. So for me, number 2 is a combination. It's a things to look for at X event, and then after the fact, takeaways from X event. Okay. These events, they come and they go. Even when we'd record them, there would be a big buildup. We'd say, watch us live this weekend. We would be live all weekend. And of course, the videos were recorded. You could watch them after the fact. But then they sort of fade away. This allowed us another way of building up an event, focusing in on it, making it important, making it the primary thing, the focus of the world of foosball for that weekend, and then not letting it go once it ended on Sunday night or Monday morning. And being able to look back on it and reflect on it and pick and choose the things that stand out and that were trends perhaps moving forward into the next event. And so for me, as a reporter, as someone who has been so involved on a weekend by weekend aspect of covering the sport, I think focusing in with this things to look forward to or takeaways from. For me, I think it's vitally important that we continue to do those sorts of things, especially for the major events, to build up interest and excitement about it, and then reflect back and look at the history and the things that happened, and then the interesting new things that often happen that we hopefully pointed out with our takeaway lists. But for me, honing in and focusing in on individual events in this fashion was number 2.
FoosTalk Live proudly presents the top 5. Number 1.
I'm gonna miss that.
Melancholy. So it
I
goes.
love radio. Love radio.
Damn. How do I follow that? Well, that
We
was
don't. There is no
yeah.
number one for tonight, folks. That's
Right.
it. We'll see ya.
That was yeah.
Adam, you must have something you chosen.
Yeah, I do. But so so as a follow-up to the last one. So um after I started getting into re-listening to episodes again when I started in the 60s, the episodes of the 60s, because I was trying to study, how do I get better? How do I improve? What do I do? I was listening to all the old episodes that I really, would have on, but not paying attention to. Anyways, there was one thread that kept me coming back every episode to listen to, and that was the again, and I harp on this all the time, but it was the human episode, the human aspect of it, right? And there was this one episode that encapsulated everything about foosball to me, and Foos Talk Live and Inside Foos. Arguably, we would say that Foos Talk Live isn't here because of if Inside Foos hadn't been here, if Jim hadn't been here doing Inside Foos for all these years,
Mm-hmm.
and the natural progression and evolution of it. And there's one episode that really kind of, for me, brings all that together, and that's episode 29. No, the 49th episode. That was March 29th of last year. And it was the top 5 moments of Inside Foos TV history, right? But it wasn't just that. It wasn't just like somebody I mean, it was just, scoring a certain point or, winning the match, but it was also Mark's number 1 was very, very personal. It was him winning. Or no, his first match that he called with Inside Foos, him just being there with Inside Foos. Jim, I believe yours was when you first met Amy,
Yeah.
if I'm correct.
Right.
And I'm like, that's when it really turned for me, when I really started thinking, and we all know this, foosball is always foosball, right? But again, we go to these tournaments for each other, to be with each other, to hang out, and to compete and to experience misery together, right? And form bonds sometimes. And I think that makes us stronger. But that's what foosball is. It's a foosball family. It's the Inside Foos family. And I don't think any other episode, any other top 5, I guess, uh, really underscores that more than that top 5, the 49th episode of Foos Talk Live.
Yeah, no, I remember that, and it was a very personal episode. Obviously, when I reflected back on the history and the top 5 moments, where do I go with that? Right? Do I talk about a great shot that was hit? Do I talk about some great match where the crowd was going wild, or do I talk about something that was beyond any of that for me? Obviously, my
Mm-hmm.
wife hits a big shot. She comes up to the booth to buy videos. And because she does that, I have these 2 beautiful children and a life, a family life here in Durango. It was incredibly personal. I remember being emotional with that episode in particular. And there have been a lot of great episodes, ones that the 3 of us, 4 of us, 5 of us have talked about at the end of the show. Once that final, we'll see you foozin' from Ari, my daughter. Once they say that and we talk about that episode and we say, man, that was a good one. Right. And we're all kind of
Mm-hmm.
feeling it. And where do we feel it? We feel it in our stomach. We feel it in our hearts. We feel it in our nostalgic minds. And
Mm-hmm.
and that episode in particular, Adam, great choice. For me, I'm taking a little bit different tact as we move on, from the human side of it. But this is human as well. It's the historical side of it. Adam mentioned earlier the crowning achievement of Foos Talk Lives up till now has been our top 50, and I agree with that based on all the
Oh,
work
yeah.
we put into it, and based on what it meant to so many people, based on the conversation that it created, based on the illumination of some players that maybe people hadn't heard of. And for me, the top 5s, when we would look at the various decades, okay, we were taking a 10-year period. For the top 50, we took a 45-year period. Okay. This is what we had to deal with, a 45-year period. But when we talked about the best players of the 60s, the best players, or rather the 70s, the best players of the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, when we talked about that, we kind of divided it up. But again, we illuminated history. And I think Inside Foos, throughout the years, that's been job number one for us. It's been capturing the history of the sport. We weren't around in the 70s, at least recording events, or the 80s. We came around to begin recording in the early 90s. But this show, these conversations, the guests we've had from Mike Bowers to Ken Allwell to Steve Viney to Dan Kaiser, and the conversations we have had that look back on history, and again, these guys all have such vivid memories of that period in their lives, which were arguably the most important, maybe after their marriages and their births of their kids. But for me, looking back at the decades and getting to kind of take myself back there, right? Because I was there. I started in the 70s. I experienced the 80s. I thrived in the 90s. This is when Inside Foos happened. I was really moving along nicely in the 2000s into the 2010s. So for me, looking back at those individual decades, trying to quantify them, trying to look at the greatest players from that through that particular prism and window, was what allowed us to then do this top 50, which I'm sure, Adam, Tom, Mark knows, Dave Gummison knows just how difficult that was, right? The fact that we were able to, first of all, look at individual decades, table styles, the culture of the sport during those decades, based on so many different parameters, allowed us to then expand that out and do a top 50, which still to this day, I am extraordinarily proud of the fact that we were able to do that and produce that. But it all started with us looking at individual decades. And I'm not sure, Tom, when you and I started this, we didn't really know where it was going.
No idea.
We knew there was a vacuum.
Yeah.
It was time to get out. Let's talk with the people, talk about events, talk about the sport, talk about the trends. History maybe was an afterthought, kind of. And then it became almost the primary thing for this show.
It evolved. Yeah, for sure.
And so for me, number one, the thing that really spurred that more than any other was focusing in on individual decades of the sport. And again, talking to people like Mike Green, or the players we talked about from the 70s, or players who were big in the 90s, Steve Viney and others into the 2000s with Tony Spredeman and Ryan Moore. Great interviews, all of them, right? I mean, they're tremendous. And it all kind of flourished, I think, because we focused in on each individual decade, each individual table, and each individual kind of group of players. So number one for me, the thing that kind of really developed my it's more than interest, but my supreme interest and responsibility of capturing, quantifying, and expressing the history of the sport was are doing those top fives by the decade.
Wow, love that. I personally, because when Jim, you and I, of course, formed this idea of going live with FoosTalk Live way back when, 2 years ago, I had very little knowledge of the history, like you say, of the sport. It's funny. I've noticed I've had conversations with people that I play foosball with on a regular basis, and I can speak from knowledge now. It's like I kind of, like a sponge by osmosis, gain some of this information about, the top players, and of course who is better than who and whatever. I feel like I can actually hold an argument with someone about that. And or at least speak from some kind of background. And I guess I just soaked it in just by just being here.
The education of young Tom Robinson. Yes, of course. And it's one of the things I'm also most proud of, Tom, is that it's your growth, your understanding, the way you have grasped all of this, and you are now officially a foosball pundit.
Wow.
Ooh,
that's I feel like I should have like a badge or something. Yeah. But no, it's
or at least
some kind of initiation. But no, it's
so we're kind of putting this to rest for a while. The top five, which we had a lot of fun with, and maybe down the road we can come up with some new top fives. But where are we headed from here, Tom Robinson?
Well, I think Clay Toomey has something to say about this, the end of the top five. Clay, what did you want to offer in that regard?
I just wanted to share my favorite memory. It's the only one that was ever done live. It was at Worlds last year, FoosTalk Live episode 73. It's the only one that we did, in person together, which is cool for that reason alone. And it would probably still be a favorite memory of mine if the rest of this story still didn't exist, but it does. And that was when Adam just unleashed
Oh my goodness.
some hilarious rant / comedy / I mean, it was so good. We were
Oh my
dying
gosh.
laughing. Anybody who hasn't heard that, it's Foos Talk Live, episode 73. It's
Live
Tornado
from the Tornado Championships. And that's the other thing too, folks. Those of you listening, we're giving you some things to listen to. Go back and search through, find these things. It'll be well worth a listen for sure.
Yeah. No, we invite you to go through the library. No, we are not going to stop here though. I mean, the top 5 is certainly great, and it ran its course, and now of course it's going into cold storage. But we do have some other ideas coming. And guys, do you want to talk about that at all? Because I know there's one that we really kind of settled on.
Well, I can kind of bring it up.
Okay.
As somebody who has been so involved with the sport for so long, right? As somebody who ran Inside Foods for so long, and had to be kind of careful with what I said about things, right? I had to play politics. I had to be the voice of reason oftentimes. Well, at some point you get to where you want to say what you really feel.
I think Clay's already been doing that. I think he's way ahead of the curve, Clay. No?
Clay. So Jim, what you
Yeah.
really feel?
What is it that you really feel?
That's you don't have
Well,
to
I
say
think
right now, but
I think moving forward, isn't that what we've kind of settled on? Future,
Yes.
yeah.
there's topics we can discuss, and
Mhm.
and maybe come at them in a solidly aggressive kind of no holds barred kind of way.
Put it
So
yeah, put it to I think what we talked about was how I see it. And
or
each
no,
of us
how I really feel.
how we
Yeah, it's
really
how I
feel.
really feel is the
How I
play.
really
Yep,
feel.
sure.
Yeah.
Wait, whose
And I
idea was this, by the way?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yours?
It was
It's probably not
by committee.
No.
Okay,
But I
cool.
mean, no, but I remember, but yeah. I mean, let's not build it up too much. But the point is, how I really feel will be the next segment, and we have 3, 4, 5 minutes with a stop clock, and nobody else interrupts. One of us just goes, and then the
Right.
next one just goes,
Right.
and that's
Yeah.
the beauty of it because we just go.
And,
And
and I
so,
think, yeah. And I think the point is we are going to touch on whatever topics come up. It's going to be timely. It's maybe suggested by viewers, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to give it to you uncensored,
Yeah.
explicit. We are going to give it to you from our guts, without any hesitation. And really, at that point too, if there's any questions, you really want to know how we really feel, you ask them.
Yeah.
right? No, I love that because we're going to be on Twitch. I'm getting goosebumps here, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Tom, that's good stuff.
Yeah, I think this could be groundbreaking when it comes to the sport of foosball, or for that matter, anything. If something else crosses your mind, why not?
Right.
Roe
It's how we
versus
feel.
Wade, whatever. Yeah.
Tomato, tomato.
It's
Just non-controversial topics like that.
yeah,
That'll be good.
yeah.
I feel a little. Don't you feel a little? I'm grieving just a little bit for the top 5.
I am.
Just a little.
I
It
am.
is time, of course,
and
but
it
it
is.
was such a great segment for so long.
But and Jim, and I think for big tournaments that are, I think the preview and the takeaways, I think that's still good. I think that we could still do something like that. I mean, we'll see. But I do like that. I mean, you had a really good point there.
No, I think we do have to continue to talk about, events, obviously. What's special about this event? Why is it something that's drawing a lot of players or not drawing a lot of players? And then, of course, afterwards, the aftermath, the autopsy, I guess you could say in some cases.
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, a quick reminder: this week, of course, you will be able to watch the World Cup, the ITSF World Cup from Nantes, France, at Inside Foods. InsideFoods.com. We'll be covering that. Check your local listings for when that will be. The event starts tomorrow. Kind of builds up as the week goes on. The bigger events start Thursday, Friday, and then into the weekend, Saturday and Sunday as well. But there is nothing like it. The atmosphere is unparalleled.
Mm-hmm.
Again, wish I was there.
Right.
Maybe
Hey,
next time.
by the way, guys, we have a suggestion from one of our Twitch viewers, Leap and Lou. He says we should call this new feature "What Grinds My Gears."
Oh, I like that.
No,
Yeah.
that's from Family Guy. I
Family
think
Guy, yeah.
he's
Family
just
Guy?
making that connection that this is like that, but even more so because instead of a Family Guy joke, we're going to take it to the next level and also
Yeah.
make a
Even
I don't
beyond.
know, chicken fingers
What
joke.
grinds
Yeah.
my
Oh, yeah.
gears? That's a that's a good one. I like that.
No, I'm looking forward to opening up and saying things maybe I've never expressed before.
Yeah.
I'm looking
Jim,
forward to hearing
we're
those
looking
things,
forward
Jim.
to that,
Mhm.
to say the least.
Well,
Now,
I'm looking forward to hearing those things in public.
okay, Jim, let's begin with that. You've always been very measured. You're very professional, and it is live radio after all, and you can't take it back. But so there is another side to you then.
I don't know if it's another side necessarily, but obviously discretion is important in what I do, and I will continue to be discreet to some degree.
Okay.
But there are things that I've had viewpoints on that maybe only a few people are, have had access to, and I'm willing to now share all of it with everyone.
Wow. This is
Nice.
exciting.
Just a teaser.
Speaking of teasing, so there's nothing that I'm gonna. I mean, I'm go to bed at night sometimes hearing the FoosTalk Live
What,
top
you go to
5
bed?
sounds. Well, every now and then. But do you have something in store for us, Tom? Some amazing how I really feel sound like. I can't even fathom what that would sound like. The
Oh,
intros.
well, I've got some. Let's put it this way: the kitchen is open, and I'm cooking. So
Oh, I like
You are
that.
such a
So,
professional, Tom.
you are. So Enya, nonstop. Is it Enya?
Yeah. I was thinking James Brown.
now how did
I
Both?
feel good.
ooh
Yeah.
I
I don't know.
one of the things you can do, you can borrow clips and pieces of songs. So I might get into that a little bit. Yeah.
All right.
There's
Cool.
Hey, guys, real quick. I went out locally here. Foosball these days, maybe the only thing, is getting out and actually playing foosball.
Yeah.
And it went out Thursday night with the gang, with the Durango Dragons. There were about 8 of us there, and just hammered it all night long. Just played
Cool.
3-4 hours of foosball. Amy and I played together. We won by 15 in a row
Wow.
against really good competition. But somebody was on fire that night, as they sometimes can be. But it was a lot of fun. And it really, the one thing I always got to remember is I like playing foosball sometimes. I really
Right.
do.
Right.
And so, having worked so many events and viewed them through a camera or through the microphone or through being a fan or a reporter, sometimes it's fun, as you guys know, just to get down on the table and play some ball.
Oh,
Right. On Thursday, I actually was at a tournament too. I'm up in Portland area,
Yeah.
visiting my folks. And Thursday night, I went to go play foosball at the local place at Home Turf. Bob Arnett, promoter here.
Right.
And they do a roto DYP, and I drew Tom Dietrich actually in the roto. And we got all the way to second, and we got really close. I could feel myself getting into that zone that I used to be in. And I remember talking to Bob Barnett afterwards. And he was like, "I wasn't expecting to be so fired up." I was like, "Yeah, you don't win stuff because you're just like
Yeah.
happy to be there, right? You want to
No.
be there." So of course we lost to Robbie Hayes. Robbie Hayes, a great local player here, but
Heck of a player. Yep.
yeah, but man, I was feeling it. I do miss it. Makes me
It's
want to get a table.
For sure. It does. It kind of comes out of you as you're playing along. I was extremely competitive the other night. I was in that competitive mode that all of us who have played for a long time kind of can get into sometimes.
That
And it was
zone.
just a
Yeah.
lot of fun. So everybody out there, keep on playing, have a good
Yeah,
time,
play
and
foosball.
listen to
Now,
FoosTalk Live.
sometime I'll have to bring my wife on so she can tell you if she makes a plan for a Friday night when that's the normal local DYP. She has to ask me first before that happens. Just
Good to have
you know.
boundaries.
Oh yeah.
Boundaries are
We
good.
have an agreement here. It's like Friday nights off limits. I mean, okay, if there's maybe a concert we want to go to, that might be the exception. But you know what? Friday nights are mine, and it's all about foosball for sure. So, guys, I got to say we're just about out of time here. But what a great night, Kevin Romero. Thank you so much for joining us. What a great guy.
Yeah, for sure. That was good stuff. Good to hear an international perspective in a week of international foosball.
Mm-hmm. And Keith Glen, of course, ever the stalwart soldier, doing his thing there at the national championship. Looking forward to seeing Keith in person and having him back on FoosTalk Live very soon. Any parting shots, Adam?
Yeah. Oh, Bob Arnett just responded to what I was saying because he's a stalwart listener. He said he was feeling it. Yeah, Bob, I was feeling it.
He was feeling it.
I always feel like
Yeah, for me, I'd like to thank everybody for all the kind messages and emails, and just to let everybody know that we're still going to make an appearance here and there. We're not done for good yet. Maybe if not as many as usual this year. Looking ahead to a couple of events later in the year. But just know that we're still thinking about it. We still support, of course, what everyone does out there. And let's keep pushing forward and make foosball great worldwide.
Yeah, foosball is where it's at. And of course, we appreciate you tuning in to FoosTalk Live. More changes to come, which we'll pass along to you as they happen. But looking forward to next week and another edition of FoosTalk Live. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks to our guests. And well, as Jim can say, we'll see you. Foos in.
FoosTalk Live proudly presents a weekly update of events near you with the FoosTalk Live Tournament Beat. Here's what's up. Coming right up, the 2022 ITSF World Cup and World Championships, June 28th through July 2nd, Nantes, France. Don't miss the next 518 Foosball Smashdown, Saturday, July 9th, Trick Shot Billiards and Wicked Eatery, Route 9, Clifton Park, New York. The South Florida Foosball Club proudly presents the 2022 Beach Town Beatdown, July 15th through 17th, Lilo's Street Food and Bar, Lake Worth Beach, Florida. Two Gun Promotions presents the 2022 $10,000 No Pro Nationals, July 15th through 17th, at Magoo's 5002 South Memorial, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Don't miss the $12,000 Mississippi State Foosball Championships, August 5th through 7th, Holiday and Pearl, 110 Bass Pro Drive, Pearl, Mississippi. It's the first annual Ozark Open, Sunday, August 15th, 2588 North Gregg Street, Fayetteville, Arkansas. Here comes the 2022 $100,000 Tornado Championships of Professional Foosball, August 31st through September 5th, the Clarion Hotel, 1950 Newtown Pike, Lexington, Kentucky. It's the 2022 $10,000 Michigan State Foosball Championship, sponsored by Foos Gadgets, September 30th through October 2nd. At the Hilton Garden Inn, Lansing West, Lansing, Michigan, the South Florida Foosball Club proudly presents Thunderdome 2, coming in October of 2022. Listen for more details. Each week, we do our best to give you the most up-to-date listing of foosball tournaments near you. If you have an event you would like to add, send us all the details at info@foosballradio.com. Tune in every week for the FoosTalk Live Foosball Beat. FoosTalk Live is a product of Inside Foos, all rights reserved. Brought to you in part by InsideFoos.com, Protectoflex, Rodlock, 518 Prince, Foosballers the Movie, the USTSO, and Foosball Clubs USA. Tune in again next week for another episode of FoosTalk Live. In the meantime,
we'll see you foozin'.